Hi, good morning guys. This is Joey from NHOU Oil Undercoating here in Chichester, New Hampshire. And we're going to do a video today about some of the different oil-based products that we have, the spray equipment that we have, and we have a vehicle here on display, a Toyota 4Runner, that we're going to go over it. And then after, we're going to do a separate video that we're going to upload of us actually using the equipment spraying the vehicle itself. So let's talk about our oil-based products today. We have our black, we have our clear, and then we have another one that's a clear peppermint scented, which is our mouse out product. The black and the clear, the same exact products, except the black has a tint to it. That's the only difference. The viscosity is the same. The effect that it has is going to be the same as well. The black is really designed to go over rusty frames, anything that has rust on it, it's going to give it that factory black look again. The clear, usually we use it on newer vehicles that don't have much rust, or if the customer just doesn't care. Cars that are lower to the ground where they're not going to see it, I also do a lot of our clear oil on. The mouse out is virtually the same thing as the clear. It just has a strong peppermint menthol scent added to it that rodents don't like. It also has a synthetic urea in it, which the mice don't like as well. But besides that, it's the same viscosity, same exact product. You can either use it on the whole underside of the car, or some people will choose just to spray it inside the cavities, especially under the hood where the mice go in to get into all the wires and whatnot. I have little samples just so you can see visually of the clear and the black. That's the black and that's the clear. They're the same thing. It's a very thick oil. It's just the color is the only difference. We have other products, but in this video, all we're going to be using is the oil products, so this is all we're going to be talking about. We will do probably another video in the future about our different wax products and our rust converter and a few of the other products that we have. So, next thing is the preparation to the vehicle. Before we spray a vehicle, you want to make sure that it's dry before you spray it. It could be slightly damp. You just don't want it too wet or the oil's going to have a hard time soaking into the rust. So this one here is all dry. It's clean. The other thing that we do, because we don't wash vehicles when we're done with them, is we put a cover, and that's just a painter's drop cloth, right over the top of the vehicle before we spray it. Besides that, and the vehicle being dry, that's all we need. We will descale it if there is some flaky rust on it. Other than that, it's ready to go. Are there any questions anyone has about the products? Coming in? Are there any questions about the products? Nothing yet. Okay. We'll be watching. If you guys have any questions, I know there's a 30-second delay between when I say the words and when you see it. So we'll be watching for them. Plus, any questions that we miss, we will answer in our next video, which won't be live. So we'll pre-record it and answer everything that you guys submit. Next, we'll get into some of the spray equipment. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to the spray equipment. We have everything from basic cup guns. This is a good generic cup gun. You have two wands. One does straight. This one does 360, and then you have the tip to spray right out of the gun. So all you have to do is take one off and put the next one on. Regular plastic quart cup. This is good for, you know, I sell a lot of it for DIY applications or someone who wants to start off with a lower level spray gun. I do have another design that's a little bit different. This only has one wand. It does straight and 360 and one tip. The gun's very close to the same, but this is our most basic kit gun right here. Then we have, this is also a cup gun, but this is one of our fogging cup guns. So a lot more pressure in the cup itself. It also injects air directly into the tip. So with this one, you have a two-stage trigger. Halfway is air, all the way is air and product. So you have complete control when you're spraying inside a door or any tight space rocker panel. You don't put too much product in. You can just put a little bit of product with a lot of air to atomize it and blow it in. This cup gun does come with a variety of wands, this being probably the best one in there. It's got a swivel with a 45-degree angle wand, and it just does a wide mist. This will fit in most drain holes on most vehicles.
We have two questions.
Sure, what are the questions?
The first question is, this is from Defender Auto.
Mm-hmm.
Questions from our potential partner. What is the period of time that oil-based anti-corrosive protection works effectively in a metropolis?
Okay. So the majority of vehicles, at least here for us, the coating lasts about a year, depending on what you do with it. So I have some plow trucks that are constantly in a commercial application plowing all the time in the winter. Parking lots, constant abrasion, constant wear and tear. So some of the guys with high stress on their trucks, I probably will do maybe more than once a year. I have some that I'll do twice a year, but the vast majority of vehicles that are everyday drivers are once a year. There are some exceptions. Maybe a vehicle that doesn't get driven that much, let's say under 10,000 miles a year, he might be able to go for 2 years. Now, when you very first do a car and it's never been sprayed before, you want to at least do it 2-3 years in a row to get a good buildup on the underside. So that first coat, you spray it on there. As they drive, they get a little bit of buildup that sticks to it. And when you put that second coat over it next year, now it has something more to grab onto and it holds on stronger. So I'll find some cars after 3 or 4 years, they're still pretty wet when they're coming back in. So I give them the option to do it every other year in certain cases. But especially if the vehicle is rusty, you definitely want to do it a minimum of 2 years in a row, maybe 3 years. Because as that oil works its way underneath the rust, it's going to loosen up pieces that aren't loose right now. And when that vehicle comes back next year, you're going to blow that off and you want to get another coat right back over it. But generally speaking, once a year is what we do on most vehicles. Is there any other questions?
Yes. So the next question, also from Defender, is have you conducted a comparative analysis of your formulations with other manufacturers? And if so, where can the results be found?
So when it comes to testing on our product, and we can do another video or we can submit something for you guys. So we always test our products against a variety of other products, Canadian products and other US products here. We run a few different tests. We run a salt fog cabinet test, which we have a cabinet here. We put all the samples in and see how many hours it lasts. We do a creeping test, a viscosity test. So, you know, we're looking to have a happy medium in between, you know, some products that are very thick and other products that are very thin. But we can do another video and submit and see how many hours our product will last in the salt fogging cabinet as opposed to brown or corrosion free or whatnot. But we do test it every year.
We got a question from Charlie Carnegie.
Mm-hmm.
He said, are you still doing franchise training specifically in New Hampshire or online training like this?
You know, the online training, which we're going to be doing a lot more of, it's going to be good, but you're probably still, if you're going to get into the business and do it as a business and not for personal use, we're definitely going to recommend that you come here and train, or you go to another shop that does it on a regular basis, because there is a lot more to it. But we are going to be having another video coming out after this where we actually spray this car. So you will get to see a lot, but there's a lot more to it when you're here in person. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this gun here. I showed you the first one. Let's say that the drain hole is too small to get into. It does have other wands. This one here is a 90-degree angle pinch tip wand. And you know, what this does is it allows me to get inside a lot of these cavities without having to drill holes, because I try to drill as little as possible. For an instance, this one here, I can easily get into the rocker panels. I can get into the doors. I can get into the front fenders, I can get into the rear hatch, all using a fogging gun like this along with the wands that go with it. There are some exceptions. I will say on this vehicle in particular, the rear fenders might be hard to get into, okay? I don't do it unless the customer wants it, because it will break warranties on certain vehicles, but you can drill. So I do keep plugs and a drill bit. We'll go over that after as we're looking at the vehicle. There is one spot I would drill because I can't get into the rear fenders, but we'll talk about that later. All these wands pop right in and out. It's a quick disconnect on this gun, so you don't have to unscrew things. And then it does have a 360 wand that also goes on there. I don't use this that much, but it gives you different options. And that's this gun. Just a regular cup gun with high pressure, and it's a lot more efficient than the other cup guns. We'll talk about next, I have the high pressure spray system. So this pump right here will go into a 55-gallon drum. You would have, I have a filter that comes off of it, because when you're using high pressure airless spray equipment, it's very important that you don't have any contaminants that get in the gun. The smallest little opening is what you have on the carbide tips to spray out of. So the smallest thing clogs it up. So we have a filter that does come right out of the pump itself that you can clean. Makes it nice and simple so you don't have to constantly change the filters in the guns. That's it. So you'll have the pump, drop that right into the 55-gallon drum. You'll have this filter. Then we sell this kit. It comes with the 50-foot hose that comes off of it. Only one line going to the gun, so you don't have two lines. And this is the gun itself. It also has a quick disconnect. You have a regular spray tip for spraying right out of the gun. And then it has two wands. You have, I'll show you this one. This one here also sprays in a fan. It's a 45-degree angle, and it plugs right into the gun just like this.
And Joey, we got a couple questions.
Okay, let me answer a few questions before we finish this.
So there's a couple questions. They're basically asking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know about the chemical makeup of the oil and what's actually in it.
So our oil is a highly refined petroleum-based oil. Okay, so there's no solvents, there's no detergents in it. It's just basically mineral oil with additives. So we have dispersers in it that cause it to creep. So the oil can creep 6 to 7 inches in all directions. That includes in rust, spot welds, seams. If it's clean new metal, it won't soak into it, but it'll sit on top. And then the additives thicken it. So we have it thick enough that it stays on there, but not too thick that it doesn't creep. And not too thick that it sprays out hard like some of the other products when you're applying it. If you have a very thick oil, it can be very hard to apply, especially if it's cold out. You do want it fairly warm before you spray it. If it gets too cold, it will have trouble coming out. But that's pretty much what it is. Highly refined petroleum, no solvents, so it doesn't hurt any plastic or rubber. The only rubber you have to keep it off of is if it has any of that synthetic rubber weather stripping around the doors. You want to keep it off of O2 sensors, and it's the same thing with any oil. It has a high flash point, so for the most part, the product is not flammable. You can hold a torch up to it for a while and it still won't catch. We will send you an MDS sheet on it with all the specs, but yes, that's it, and it's made specifically just for rust proofing. But its base is petroleum, but it's actually food grade. I mean, I wouldn't try it. I've tasted it myself. It tastes horrible, but we had a customer who had a dog that actually licked some off his truck, and the dog was fine. I think he had, he had to go to the bathroom after or something. But it's a safe oil, let's put it that way. Was there any other questions about it?
They're asking the same question for the Boss Wax part.
Okay, so the wax, I could talk about that a little. We're not going to be using that in this video, but the wax is, I'm going to have to send you an MDS sheet on that. It's obviously a wax base. It doesn't creep or anything like the oil. It stays somewhat flexible, so it's not brittle to the point where, let's say you have it on a leaf spring or something, it won't crack or chip. It will flex with it, but it does dry, so it doesn't stay wet like the oil. You won't get any creeping at all with it, so that's why we still use the oil inside the cavities and whatnot. But we'll talk more about the wax later. We'll do another video maybe based more on the wax. Is that it for questions? Okay. I'm going to continue talking about this gun here. So this high pressure spray system, we throw this right in the oil. I'll start out with the car spraying with this nozzle. I go from the front to the back and around the sides, and then I'll do it again with this wand. So you can get on top of the frame. You can go in cavities with this gun. You just got to be careful because it lays it on a lot thicker. So I usually go inside the cavities with something like this where it fogs it, and I do the outside with this. But it's going to be personal preference of what equipment you want to use. Everyone has different equipment that they like. But this is a good gun, and it pumps it right out of the drum, so you're not filling anything up if you're doing a lot of vehicles. Because here at our shop, we got 3 bays back there. We do bigger jobs like wax oils or restorations on one of the lifts, and then the other 2 just do oil undercoatings all day long. So in our busy season, we're doing like 17 undercoatings a day, plus like a wax oil or a restoration. And then when we work here on Saturdays, we do about 21 oil undercoatings a day. So as you can imagine, we're spraying constantly, and we don't want to fill up any cups. This gun here, this is a new gun. It's also made by Lemmer. This one does a little bit of both. So we usually, our setup, we have this high pressure system with the pump in our black, and then we put this gun in our clear. So this gun here uses the same wands as this cup gun here. It also fogs, so it uses a lot of air and product together. The very same wands plug into it. So when I have this gun, I go inside the frame, I go inside the doors, rocker panels, anything I do under the hood, I do with this. And then if the customer wants the whole thing done in clear, I just simply take off the mixing chamber. I unplug the air from the gun, and now it's airless, just like this gun over here. And that's how I work it. I find that that's the easiest way for me. But you could use the cup gun too. I'm just showing you the different options that are out there, and these are all made by Lemmer. So, but I will say the one downside to this gun is you do have 2 lines that have to go to the gun. You're going to have one for product and one for air, and you'll have a dual regulator, and it also will use the same pump and filter on it as well. That's pretty much the rundown of the spray equipment. We're going to go over this car. I'll show you how I would use this equipment to get in certain areas. And then, like I said, remember, we are going to have another video after where we're going to spray this same car out in our back shop. We'll film that and submit that later on. Any other questions I have?
Looks like they're asking more specifically about what else is in it besides oil that's contained in the product.
We can send you an MDS sheet. There are some corrosion inhibitors that are in there, dispersers. We can send you something else that exactly has maybe a little bit more in depth to what the oil has in it.
We can cover that.
We'll cover that separately, but basically mineral oil. So the mineral oil mixes with the additives, we spray it on, and then what will happen is the mineral oil will come off of the additives and soak, and that's how you get your creeping with the oil. So that's why, for an instance, when you spray black oil on something, that black oil will creep but the dye that's in it that turns it black doesn't creep. It's just the mineral oil separating from the additives, and that's what creeps. That's the main thing that makes it work. Everything else that goes into the mineral oil either keeps it on, you know, helps fight rust on a different level, and basically makes it stick, let's put it that way. But we can go on that a little bit more, but the main component is going to be mineral oil and the oil. Any other questions on that? Okay. So when it comes to a vehicle, I know some of you guys wash vehicles. I do that as well. We actually do that right here in this room. I don't do that constantly. I only do it if I have to, because I do want the vehicle dry. All my customers come in for is 1-hour appointments, for the most part, for just regular oil undercoatings. Wax oils and restorations are another story. Those are both overnight applications. This vehicle's pretty good. We've actually done this once or twice before. It's pretty clean underneath, and we are going to show you the underside. Maurice, you want to open the hood and the rear hatch for me? It does not need any descaling, but if there was flaky rust, I will show you, and you guys probably already know this, but you know, this is all I do to descale. I use like a wire brush gun to get the loose stuff off, or I use an Anchor-Saw ram needle gun descaler to get any of the heavy scale off, depending on how bad the truck is. And of course, air guns. I'll clean it off if I have to. I do charge extra to my customers for any of those services. So let's go over.
We got one question.
Yeah.
Charlie Carnegie, is there a way to get a copy of the brochure so that we can get a game plan for selling?
Of course. Yeah, of course we can do a copy of any brochures you guys want. We have maybe like 5 or 6 different brochures, so we can send you guys all of them, however you want. So that's not a problem. Is there anything else? Okay. So we'll take our fogging gun here, and I'm going to show you a few different things on this vehicle. So when we start out undercoating, I'll usually do the hood and the tailgate or the rear hatch first. Then I let it up and I'll do the doors. Once I'm done with the doors, I'll do the wheel wells and then let it all the way up and I'll do the underside. The hood and all the doors, I'm going to use this gun here where it fogs. So it doesn't matter if you use this one or the other fogging gun I was telling you about. I just wouldn't use an airless sprayer to go inside these tight spaces like drain holes on the doors and under the hood and whatnot. I also, no matter what the vehicle's getting underneath, I also always use clear on the hood, the rear hatch, and the doors. And then I'll use black underneath if that's what the customer wants. So over here, for an instance, so this is a Toyota 4Runner again. We're gonna go under this hood to get inside this fender right here. So I stick the wand right inside to spray from here, from underneath, right until it touches the inside there. And the back, I get into the whole fender. Then I go inside the hood door, going through all these different holes. You got a hole here, here, here. The latch inside the door, and I get the latch down here. I do the battery terminals with this gun because it doesn't conduct electricity. Any of the oil will not, so you can spray it on connectors and battery terminals and whatnot. And I'll hit any fuel, metal lines only, fuel or brake lines that come up in here, and then I'm going to go right into this fender as well. And that's pretty much it for under the hood. I don't go crazy. I'm not getting it on the engine. If I can see the frame from above, I'll hit the frame, but I'm going to try to leave it off of all the belts and the rubber lines. I don't want to saturate those with oil, and the engine gets hot anyways, so it's pointless spraying anything under there. And that's pretty much it for under the hood. So the rear hatch, and this one I'm going to grab a different wand because the holes back here are a little bit smaller. So this one here will go right inside these drain holes. You got one, you got two, you can go in both ways, and then you got a third one right here. So I'm basically trying to get the inside bottom of this door, because when the water goes in here, this is where it drains down to and this is where it rusts. So I want to get this whole bottom half. And I don't need a lot in there. The oil's going to last a long time in there because it's all encapsulated inside. It's taking very little wear and tear, but I just want to get in there, fog the bottom of that, and then you can pull out these plugs up here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 plugs here, so you can also stick the wand inside here to get in the top half of the door, and then I'll hit the hinges. I'll hit that hinge, and that's it. And this door will be done. Yep. A few more questions?
Yeah, even if you want to.
Yeah.
If you spray too much product in the door panels, will it clog the drain holes?
Yeah, you want to try to be careful of spraying too much product in the doors. That's partly why I use this gun, because I hold it halfway in and I'm doing a lot of air. I'm doing mostly air. When you see me spraying in the next video, you're going to think I'm spraying a lot in there, but I'm not. I'm doing a lot of air, and then I'm just pumping just a little bit of product, and I'm just fogging just a slight bit in there. If you put too much in there, what I would do is I'd take an air gun, something like this right here, and just blow it in all the drain holes and try to blow it upward so it doesn't clog it. Also, every time a truck comes back in for another undercoating, I'm always blowing out the drain holes just to make sure they're clean. But if you do put a lot in there, it can clog for sure. Are there some other questions, Ethan?
How do you spray the skid plates and inside of the frames?
Okay, so we are going to be going to that. I'm going to show you the doors on this first, and then when we get this all the way up in the air, I'm going to show you how I do this frame. It's pretty easy. At least these 4 runners and 99.9% of the vehicles we do have factory holes that go right inside the frame. So we are going to show you that in just a few minutes. Anything else? Nope. Okay. So that's it for the hood and the latch. You want to bring this up halfway for me? We're going to show you inside the door next. Okay. So, a little bit more, Maurice. Good. So, right here, this is your door. You might want to come here and take a look. So there's no rubber that hangs below the drain holes, which is good, because this rubber here, if you get too much oil on it, it can swell. So if you were to have a car where the rubber was right here below these little drain holes, I would wipe the rubber down after with some alcohol if you get any overspray on it. And then I would put a little bit of silicone on it. That way it treats it, so if a little oil does leak out and get on it, it won't swell it too bad. But you would have to get a lot of oil on it to swell it up good. So I would take this fogging cup gun right here to do the doors. I'd have the clear oil in this, and then I just go right up through all these drain holes. One way, the other way, and I'm just like that back door, I'm doing the inside bottom of the door. I don't really care about getting a lot up here. And also make sure that the windows are up when you spray it. It's kind of stupid, I know you probably know that, but I've learned the hard way. So this one here, you got a lot of drain holes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can go in every single one of these holes here, go left or right. And these are, this is a Toyota, so they do have pretty small drain holes. So this one fits in it just fine. So I'll do the inside of the door, and then I'll do the hinges. So I'll do both of those hinges right there. Also, I see an opportunity to get inside the rocker panel. So we keep this plastic tab kit right here so we can pop anything off that we need to, skid plates, whatnot. So this here, we come in and pop this off, which I already did. And right under here, you have 1, 2, 3, you got 4 holes for getting in the rocker panel. And there are some holes underneath as well, so I'm really coating the whole thing. Take the very same wand you've been using to go inside the doors and the hood, and you just go right into all these holes, left, and you spin it to the left and to the right. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll show you some other holes underneath after to also get inside the rocker panel. But I'm just going to repeat this very same thing on all 4 doors. So you have a tab here to get in the rocker panel, you have a tab here, you have 2 tabs on the other side, and you're just going to go right through both sides, do it all, go inside the doors, and then this part will be done. Are there any more questions? Also, on this particular model, right, to get inside here, and this is going to be up to your customer, there is no good factory access point, so I think your only option would be to drill a hole here to get inside. Stay right there for 1 second. So we use a 1/2 inch drill bit. You go right in here, and then we have our plugs right here that we pop right in after. So I would drill the hole, go inside to get into this fender if the customer wants it, and then rub a little bit of oil on the hole and pop the cap in, and then you're good. I don't do that most of the time. I mean, technically this should be sealed because this window doesn't roll down, but there's always the opportunity for rust to start in there. I do always do the back lip as I'm spraying the wheel well. So, but if the customer wants a hole drilled, I do that no charge. Okay. Once the doors are done, you're going to want to take the Airless setup and get inside the wheel wells while they're eye level with you. I go inside the frame, I do the wheel well itself, and then we're going to put the truck up and we're going to take a look at the underside. You can put it all the way up, Maurice. A little bit more. That's good. You want to turn those lights on for me? Do we have any other questions?
Yes. Joe, you mentioned around the wheel well. Do you cover the wheels and exhaust?
I do not cover the wheels. At least when I'm doing the oil, I don't cover the wheels. If I was doing our wax product, I would. The oil, I could just wipe off if it gets on there. And, you know, I tell the customers when they come in here, there's 4 things that they need to be aware of. Number 1, it's going to smoke when the vehicle's done. So any overspray you get in the exhaust, it's okay, it's fine. It's just going to smoke off for 10 or 15 minutes, and the customer knows that before they come in. So they're going to expect that, okay? And that's also why I don't cover the exhaust. The other thing I tell them is there's going to be overspray in the vehicle, okay? Including maybe a little bit on the rims. Just by this vehicle being in our shop, by nature, it's going to have some overspray on it. So I'll make sure that their mirrors, their steps, and their windows are clean, okay? But the paint and the body could have a little bit of overspray on it. That's okay. You just run it through a car wash. The other 2 things I tell them is if they do take it through a car wash, you're going to want to try not to do any undercarriage car washes to it. I just leave it alone. If they ask for how long, I usually tell them if they can, leave it alone for the winter. When the winter's done, maybe late spring, early summer, when all the salt is off the roads, they can wash it, the underside, do what they want. before they come back in and I do another application, because every time they're washing that undercarriage, and it's not the water, but the pressure blasting up underneath, wears it down quicker. So that's why they're gonna avoid that. And the last thing I tell them is that there could be some dripping. Summertime, there's usually a little bit more than the winter because it's a lot hotter out and the oil is a little bit looser, but tell them that they can expect at least a little bit. That way they don't freak out if it drips, and they can park it off their driveway. Some of our customers will use a tarp, put it underneath, and then fold the tarp up and put it away, save it for next year when they're done. But the dripping is not that bad on this product. It's nothing like Crown's product. This is a lot thicker and holds on a lot better, but you could get a little bit of dripping off the exhaust. Is there something else, Ethan?
Do you remove the spare tire?
Yeah, sometimes I do remove the spare tire. If the rim of the spare tire is wide, I will sometimes go through it, but a lot of times what I will do is I have my own rods to take off the spare tire. I drop it down about halfway to get behind it, and then I spray the rim itself and the line, and I put it back up, and then I spray the bottom side of the rim as well. Anything else?
Can you give an estimate of how much product you use on one truck?
Good question. So I would say, now I do a lot of pickup trucks here. So when I'm doing a truck, I'm using about 1.5 gallons. So a vehicle like this, around 1 gallon. If there's a lot of rust on the vehicle, maybe a little bit more than 1 gallon. The more rust that's on the vehicle and the deeper the rust is, the more it soaks the product up. So that's going to play a factor into how much you use. But SUV like this, 1 gallon. A sedan that's smaller than this, maybe not even 1 gallon, maybe 1/2 gallon. But one thing I do keep in mind when I'm pricing these vehicles out is the sedans or the smaller vehicles like Volkswagens, BMWs, the higher end ones, I charge more when I have to take off a bunch of plastic plates underneath to get at the floorboards. So some of them can actually be the same price as a truck. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we're going to come underneath here. Let me turn these lights on. Actually, let me. So this vehicle here has a good buildup on it. Okay, let me get my wand. Hold on one second. So I'll probably start out with the cavities on this first. I'm going to use the same fogging gun that I used to get inside the doors, the hood, the rear hatch, and I'm going to go inside all of these cavities. So this frame here, you were asking how we get in the frame. You have 1 million factory holes here that you can stick this and get in every single one. And this is a box frame, so it's totally enclosed. Maurice, can you grab me the needle nose pliers? So do you want to come underneath? We'll show them the underside. Thank you. I'm all set. Okay, so I'm going to go inside both frames, or the frame on both sides. I'll go inside any other unibody parts that are enclosed. So I see some cross members here. I'll go inside here. I'll go in here. I'll go in the arms here by the tire. All of these. These skid plates here, I probably would not take these down because they're just covering the engine. I'm not worried about spraying the engine. I will go on top of the plates through here, in here, but I don't want to go way back up in there because you got the engine, the belts, all the components I'm not interested in hitting. I will make sure that I do hit the bumper good, but when you have this gun that fogs, you can get this way back in there without having to stick the whole wand in. So this gun's very helpful. The rocker panels now, Now you saw that we hit the rocker panels from the top side when I pulled out that plastic panel. This also has some plugs underneath. So you have these factory rubber plugs that I'm just pulling out. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sometimes they put tape on some of these. We got another one here and another one there. And then I'm going to go right into the rockers from underneath. Go up in there, left and right, and here, and here, and here. So I'm getting a lot of oil in those rocker panels. The gun that I use for fogging always has clear in it, and it really doesn't matter what you're putting inside the rocker panels or inside any cavity. It doesn't have to be black. It could be clear. Not going to matter. They're not even going to see it. And then with this vehicle, when we do it in the next video, I'm going to do black on the outside. So let me grab my other gun. Hold on one second. So once you have all the cavities done, you would take this gun, and if all of our lifts in the back building have lights on it, so you could either use those, or a lot of times I'll hold a flashlight in my left hand because I'm a righty, and I go from the front to the back and around the sides, and I spray right out of this tip. And this is an airless setup, so this puts on a nice thick coat of oil, and I'd spray all of this with the black. And then I would, once I'm done with this, I'm going to come back through it again with my wand. I have this wand here, and this is what I'll use to get the top of the frame, the spots I can't reach with the other one. I'll get the top of the frame, top of the drive shaft, way back in here with the floorboards, everything out in the open. Now the brakes. So as long as there's a guard or a disc covering the brake disc underneath, I don't worry about covering it or cleaning it. I'll spray right over it. If that guard is rusted off that's covering your brake disc, you might just want to be careful around it, or spray the disc with some brake clean when you're done.
Joe, we got a question?
Yeah.
Question from Sergey. He wants to know, rubber parts of suspension and drive, are they also affected by oil, as on the doors, and should they be cleared as well?
Okay, good question. So the rubber parts and the components underneath, if they're affected by oil. So I almost never have any issues with the rubber underneath, as far as rubber bushings, body mounts. Any of the components under here are usually made from a solid rubber and almost never give me any issues. It's usually just the light synthetic rubber, so that would be the weather stripping the doors, like I said earlier. And there are some lines under the hood that are made from a really weak synthetic rubber that if you get too much oil on it, it can swell. So no, you shouldn't have any issues with any of the rubber that's going to be here. So like this has the bushings in here, shouldn't be an issue. Any other questions? Okay. And then I would just finish it off with this wand. There is another wand in there that's a little bit smaller. So we have a wide variety. Every vehicle is going to be different to what wands you're going to use. But typically speaking, I use the fogging gun to get in the cavities, and then I'll use this airless gun, like you'll see in the next video, to get everything on the outside. Floorboards, I am going to try to stay away from the exhaust. I'm going to definitely stay away from the O2 sensors up here. These sensors here, if you get a lot of oil on them, you will have an issue because it has to get an oxygen reading, and the oil, unlike water, will stick to it, and it will probably have codes that it will throw inside the car. But besides that, everything else gets sprayed. I don't go too far back in here. I will probably hit the bottom of the oil pan. I'll hit the drive shaft frame. I'll hit some of this. I'll hit the differential. We'll take the spare tire out, get everything behind that, because this spare tire is going to be too hard to get through to leave it on there, so I'll let it down. The shocks I'll hit, and then that's it. And if there is any heavy overspray on the tires or something like that, or around the edges, I will wipe a few spots off to get the heavy residue off, and then I'll The rest, the customer knows there's going to be a little bit of overspray, and they'll just wash that off at a separate time. I do hit the trailer hitch unless they ask me not to, and that's it. But I won't go up over the edge because that I consider the outside of the vehicle. I'm going to keep it all on the inside, underneath. Okay, so that's about it for this spray equipment. Do you have any questions about?
Not on my end, what about yours?
Okay, we'll come back out here. So when we do the second video, we're going to show me actually using that equipment, spraying inside those cavities. I just wanted you guys to get an idea of what the process is going to be. That's about it for the undercoating side. I let it down. I take the cover off. I have the mirrors folded in, so I'm going to unfold them, make sure they're clean. This vehicle doesn't have any steps, but if there are any steps on them, I'm going to clean the steps down. We take the cloth off, and all that cloth is it's a painter's cloth. We have the corners marked so we know which side's the top and which side's the bottom, so we don't get the windows all oily. And when we're done, we just take the cloth off, hang it up when we're done. We don't wash the cars, like I said. When we're done, I just leave it. They take it to a car wash, but they know that ahead of time when they're coming in.
We got a question?
Sure.
When spraying Boss Wax, which gun to use? Nozzle size and application pressure.
All right. Boss Wax, you could use a few different guns, but I'll tell you the one that I use. I use this Airless setup right here. I don't spray it out of a fogging system because I never spray wax inside of cavities. The wax is only going to go on the outside underneath, and then I will use the oil in the fogging gun to get inside the cavities after. So typically I use this system. I'll throw this pump in a drum of wax. I have this 50-foot hose. I have a gun, and I usually just use this wand right here. Now, if you wanted to get your feet wet with the wax and start off in a smaller scale, you probably could use this gun right here just to start with to spray the wax. Keep it warm, fill it up. It's going to take a little bit more time, it'll be a little bit longer, but you can use this gun. And it's important when you're done spraying the wax, if you're using a gun like this, you want to clean the gun out maybe with some mineral spirits or something on that level when you're done, because unlike the oil, the wax does harden and it can clog up the gun. If you're using a high pressure spray system, if you're spraying it at least once a month, you won't have to clean it when you're done. But a cup gun, you're definitely going to want to. And that actually brings me to another good point. You guys might already know this, but with the oil, you don't have to clean anything when you're done spraying. So you just put the gun away, and when you're ready, just use it again, and the oil's never going to dry. Another question, Ethan?
Another question came in. Which vehicle services is Boss Wax applied to?
So the wax, the Boss Wax, is only on brand new vehicles. The reason being is because you do not want to spray wax, or for that fact, anything that hardens over rust, because the wax will just seal it in, and it's probably going to break back through in a year or maybe even less. So you want to keep it on brand new vehicles. So I'm doing 2020s and late 2020s and 2021s. Yep.
Is it possible to apply Boss Wax product to a not-new car from the dealership?
No, yeah, so if the vehicle's not brand new, you don't want to spray over it. I had actually just the other day, I had a guy who left his vehicle here. He had a 2018 truck, and he really wanted to get the Boss Wax done to it. The problem is even though he was telling me it was clean, it did have areas where there was light surface rust on it. So in that case, I don't want to do the job, because it's going to break out, it's going to make me look bad, and when I have to do a touch-up on that wax 2 years down the line, it's going to be a mess. Because when we do touch-ups on the wax, if I see little scratches, I'll sandblast them and touch them back up. But if you're doing a vehicle that already has rust on it, you're going to have tons of spots breaking out, and you're not going to be able to contain all of that. So you want to do oil on anything that's not brand new. And if it's brand new, they can either do the oil or the wax. And we'll probably do a separate video on the wax because that job has a lot of preparation. We're wrapping the exhaust, we're wrapping the drive shaft, we're hanging paper. There's a lot more involved in that service. And then it's staying here for the night. Another question, Ethan?
How can you tell if the boss wax is hardened and can it be applied over an oily material?
Okay, so the boss wax, it depends on what time of the year you're spraying it. So we need the vehicle for a night because a night gives it enough time to cure so that water won't be a problem with it. It's still going to be tacky for a few weeks, so you won't want to do especially any undercarriage car washes for a few weeks, and I'm just talking on the wax right now. You don't want to push on it really hard, but if it sits one night, it will cure enough that if he leaves and it's raining out, or if it's snowing out, that won't be a problem. The wax is going on brown, and as it dries, it darkens. So usually by the next morning, it's a shiny black. That's how you know it's drying or curing. Eventually, maybe a month or so down the line, it will be a really dark black, and you won't even be able to tell the difference between the paint, the black paint on your frame, and the wax. And no, you cannot spray it over an oily surface. So when I do the wax, I always spray the wax first. It sits overnight, and then I oil inside the cavities the next day after the wax has already been sprayed and cured a little bit. If you get oil on the surface first, you're going to want to clean it off with alcohol before applying the wax because it just won't stick to that. Is there another question? Nothing else? Okay. That kind of sums it up. There is very little maintenance on the equipment. I guess I'll touch on it. I already explained that you have a filter here. This Airless setup also does have a filter in the handle here. It has a filter in here that you can change out every once in a while. But we sell all these parts, so you know it will need a new O-ring inside there every once in a while. If, let's say, this one were to clog on you, you want to take the whole tip off, blow it out, clean it, and put it back on. And I'm talking taking the whole head off, not just the nut. Now, another instance is, let's say you're spraying the oil on a truck and it's coming out and you could tell there's something wrong with it. It's dripping constantly, a lot of dripping. It almost looks watery. That can happen. You can get some separation in the oil if it sits either for a long period of time or if you're putting a heater on it in the wintertime to spray it. So it's not a bad idea every once in a while if you have a drum or a 5-gallon bucket to take a long air gun like this, and all you're going to do is put it right into the drum and blow air at the bottom of it for 30 seconds to a minute, and the whole thing is going to be mixed. And that's all it takes. And then you clear your line back out, spray it back into the drum, and then you're good to go. It will be thick again. But you don't have to roll it around or anything. You just use air in the bottom of the drum. And I was saying earlier, in the wintertime, if the product gets cold, it can be somewhat difficult to spray. So what we do here is we have heating bands that go onto the bottom of the 55-gallon drums, and I keep them heated, especially if you're opening the doors when you spray and it's cold out. You'll know when you're having an issue because the product will come out almost like in 3 lines. Are there other questions? Okay. And that's about it. You know, every once in a while, you'll probably need to rebuild your pump, and we sell those rebuild kits. Cup gun, lines. Other than that, the stuff's pretty much indestructible. And that's the equipment that we use to do the vehicle. What's that? Have a question on it? That's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions? Actually, I have some time, so do you want me to, I'll give a brief overview of the Boss Wax if you want. What's that?
Here's one more question.
Oh, yeah, what's the question?
What will be the consequences if oil composition gets on the paintwork?
And the pavement, okay. So if the oil gets on pavement, it's going to be almost like any other pavement when you get oil on it.
Paint work.
Oh, paint work. Oh, on the truck? Oh, so if the oil gets on the paint, it's not a problem. They just have to wash it off. As long as the clear coat and everything is on there, there's nothing for the oil to soak into. So when the customer leaves, they can either wash it today or they can wash it 3 months from now. It's not going to hurt the paint. Even if it's sitting in the sun, it's not a problem. And, you know, since I brought it up anyways, if the oil gets into the pavement, it will come out, but it will take a few months. So, you know, when you tell the customer about the dripping, you might just want to make them aware of that. If they're on pavement or concrete driveway, that they maybe park it off to the side for a few days. The more they drive it, though, the faster that stuff will go away, because the oil never dries. You want to get buildup on it. So, especially if there's dirt road around there or something like that, you're driving on that road, you get some more dust to stick to it, it creates that layer of buildup, and it seals it in there, and it stops any dripping. Were there any other? So, you know, while I got some time, I'm going to talk about the wax a little bit. Now, we're not doing it to this vehicle, right? But I'll tell you, a typical vehicle, when we do a wax, the Boss wax on it, is it's almost all prep, okay? So we're spending 2 to 3 hours on it the first day. Then it has to sit overnight to dry, and then we finish it up the next day. So we start by, I always remove the spare tire on any vehicle where I'm doing the Boss wax, okay? And then we're gonna cover everything. So I'm wrapping the drive shaft, I'm wrapping the exhaust system. We hang paper, so I have paper and tape dispensers where it puts the tape and the paper together, and I hang it on the sides of the vehicle. And it's all to eliminate the overspray from getting on the paint of the vehicle. Because it doesn't clean off easy like the oil does. You have to use something like mineral spirits to remove it off the paint, which you can do, but you don't want to be wiping down a brand new vehicle. We use tin foil underneath to wrap the exhaust system and the drive shaft, tires out, and then that's it. Once it's all prepped and ready to go, we spray it. And by the way, I don't take the tires off. If you have a 2-post lift, it might be easier to take the tires off. All my lifts are 4-post lifts. So I have a bag that I slit and I tuck it into the tire so it covers the rim, but I'm still able to get the back side of like the outside of the brakes or whatnot. And then that's it. I spray it that night. Then when I'm done, I leave it here on the lift. It sits overnight, it cures enough so that I can see any spots that I missed the next day. So when it goes from that wet brown look to the black look in the morning, I can now look over it with the flashlight. I look for any spots that I missed because, again, the Boss wax doesn't creep like the oil does. So I hit any of the missed spots, I remove all the paper and the tin foil off of the vehicle, and then I take my fogging gun with the clear oil, and I go inside all the cavities. I go inside the rocker panels, I go inside the frame, I go inside the doors. Anything internal, I'm still gonna spray the oil in. And like I said earlier, it's because the oil's gonna move and creep and migrate inside the cavities, where the Boss wax, it just sits where you spray it. And then after that, I look over the vehicle. If I get a little bit of overspray here or there, I'll wipe it up with some mineral spirits, and the vehicle's ready to go. The vehicle's going to come back every 2 years for a touch-up. So after 2 years, I'm going to go over the vehicle. If I see a scratch in it, I'll sandblast that scratch with just a cheap sandblasting gun. I'll touch it up with some more wax, and then I'm going to re-oil all the cavities. Now, if I see a spot where the Boss wax isn't working, let's say on my Jeep Wrangler, for an instance, it has really tight seams on the gas tank cover, the Boss wax can't creep into, I have a grease that I'll substitute those spots with. Same thing, leaf springs, moving joints, the Boss wax can tend to wear down a little bit in there, and I'll substitute it with the petroleum-based heavy-duty grease that we have, and that's another product. Another question?
Do you remove the wheel well liners?
So the wheel well liners, I try not to if I can, okay? We do a lot of pickup trucks here, right? And the front wheel well liners you never have to remove because you're getting into when you go under the hood, okay? Depending on what kind of vehicle it is, a lot of times I have trucks that have the rear wheel well liners. They're very difficult to take out, but behind the rear wheel well liner, you'll have metal, right? And then there's another cavity up and above that. So a lot of times I'll go way in the back behind the metal, and then I'll get the lip of the liner and I'll leave it at that. But problem is some vehicles you're going to take tires off to take the liners out. Now you guys are doing a lot of cars and SUVs. I know those can be a little bit easier to take the liners out, and I will sometimes do that, but that will be up to you. But I would consider charging extra if you have to take those out. Yep.
Do you have clients who use your products in the metalwork industry, metal frames, structures, in civil industry, built bridges and architects?
So, okay, so do we have people that use our products in other things besides cars like bridges and whatnot? Yeah, I do have a few. I don't have a lot. I have people that are starting to get into it. I had one gentleman that I talked to. He works on buildings that are brick, and there's a metal frame on the inside, and he's actually been using our oil inside to do a maintenance plan on those beams. Those structures, especially like bridges and whatnot, it can last longer than it does on a car, right? Depending on where this structure is and what, if it's enclosed or if it's outside. But yes, I do have some people that have been using our products for stuff like that, for sure. Something else? Nope. Okay.
Warranty with Boss Wax?
There is a warranty with the Boss Wax. So we do the warranty specifically on the Boss Wax because the vehicle's brand new. He's expected to come back in every 2 years for a touch-up. That's part of the warranty. Basically what our warranty states, if before 2 years, before his next touch-up, if he has a small spot that's scratched, or if he's been in an accident and a panel's been replaced, like I had a customer last week, they got rear-ended, they got a new bumper, he came in, it was part of his warranty, I sprayed it for him. It takes me 15, 20 minutes usually, unless it's a big panel. We will do free touch-ups. So if the surface of that wax is breached before 2 years, we give them free touch-ups. But they have to come in at least every 2 years. I have to be looking at the vehicle. That way, if there are any breaches through the wax, which there's gonna be to some extent, I can nip it in the butt right away and take care of it. Was there anything else? Okay. But that's pretty much the overview on the wax. And like I said, we'll probably do another video on it because it is very labor intensive and it's all prep. Oh, another question?
If you can't get all the salt off the vehicle while you're washing it before you spray.
Okay. Salt being on there?
Yeah.
So that's actually a good question. So if the vehicle has salt on it, right, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a regular oil undercoating, you can spray oil, and this is shocking to some people, but you can spray oil over a little bit of salt. I'm talking just a fine amount. I still have people that want me to wash it sometimes, and I will if that's what they want. But if you did spray oil over some salt, it will soak through the salt. As long as it's not wet, it will saturate it and it will still cut off the oxygen, so you won't have any corrosion forming. Now, wax on the other hand, the salt has to be totally removed. So for an instance, in the wintertime, let's say the wax oil, I'm going to do the work on it Tuesday. It has to be here Monday before the end of the day because I got to put it here in my wash bay and look at it. If there's salt on it, has to get power washed. We have another product. We have a salt brine eliminator. We spray that on there. It sits for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I power wash the undercarriage. It sits in here Monday night, and actually, I'll take that, Ethan. It sits in here Monday night. By the way, this is Ethan. He works here. It will sit in here overnight. It will be dry Tuesday morning, and then I will then start the process of the wax, prep it. I'll spray it by Tuesday night. It will sit in here Tuesday night, and I'll finish it up by oiling all the cavities Wednesday morning. And this is the product we use, the salt brine eliminator. I just sprayed out of anything that you would spray soap out of. I put that right on the underside of the vehicle before I wash it, and that helps take and remove the sticky additives and the brine and the salt, because we know it's not rock salt anymore, it's all liquid de-icing agents now, and that helps remove all those. But yes, it's crucial that you get any salts, any brine, calcium chloride off the underneath of that vehicle if you're doing the Boss Wax application. But the oil, you can be a little bit more lenient on. Any other questions? Okay. Well, that's pretty much kind of sums it up. We'll do another video where we go, oh, another question?
How does clear oil adhere to metal after application? Does an aggressive climate, severe frost, 30, 50, or humid climate affect the adhesion of the composition of the metal?
As far as the clear or black, it's going to be the same for that matter, adhering to the underneath. It being dry is going to be the biggest factor when you're spraying the vehicle. Okay, if it's really wet, that's where you're going to have the biggest problems. It's usually not a problem. I guess it depends on what the truck's doing. If it's going right out and getting beat up bad, like I have some people here that go off-roading, and I actually will recommend that they undercoat their vehicle when they're done with their off-roading season, because it bottoms out and whatnot. But no, usually in the winter, I don't have any issues with it here. I will say this, with that being said, the best time to do a vehicle is probably in the spring or the summer, okay? Because, and I would push your customers to come in the spring and in the early summer, and then if it's anything like it is here in the US, we're jammed in the fall time. But spraying the product when it's warm out gives it an opportunity, because the ground's not frozen, to get more buildup on top of that oil, okay? So as you get that light dust that sticks to it and gets that layer of buildup on there, it is gonna hold on a lot stronger than, like, let's say you spray it in the wintertime and it goes right outside into a snowstorm and there's no dust or no dirt to stick to it, okay? But you can do that, but I just try to get the customers to come in the summer if I can. That's the most ideal time to do it. Any other questions? Yeah?
Does it wash off fast?
No, and you know, when I say don't go through undercarriage, it's not that it washes off easily, and you would have to go through quite a few times to really wear it down. The water is not the problem. So when you're raining and rain's spitting up underneath, or it's snowy, or it's wet, or rain's coming down from the top, that doesn't hurt the oil. It's the pressure of an undercarriage car wash that's wearing it down. Like if you were to hold a pressure washer. Of course, a certain amount of pressure and it's going to be wearing it. Now, we do design this product for a certain amount of pressure of driving on the roads and salt and snow spitting up. But you just want to do what you can not to add any additional wear and tear on it. Anything else?
The most frequent question
From Defender, the most frequent question from customers in Russia: does dirt and dust stick to the oil coating?
Yeah, yep, dirt and dust. That's what I was talking about earlier. With buildup, dirt and dust will stick to it. That is a good thing. And, you know, actually, when the vehicle comes back after a year, and I'm doing it, now you guys might wash it, I don't know how you do it, but when I do a vehicle, unless the customer wants it washed, I don't wash it. I put the vehicle up, I'm gonna look it over, right? I want the buildup on it to be a thin, black, wet layer of buildup, okay? Like wet or greasy underneath. If the buildup is excessive, usually around the wheel wells or the tires where it's spitting up a lot of dirt, and the buildup you notice is very dry and thick, you want to wash, or what I do is I just take an air gun and I blow off all the light, thin buildup, and I get it down to the black, wet surface, and then that's what I spray over. You can run into issues if you start spraying it over dry buildup that's that thick, because the oil's only going to soak through so much of it. And it might soak halfway through, and now you're not hitting the base metal, which is what you want to hit. So you have to be careful of that, especially if the vehicle's been done for a long time. You'll notice a lot of vehicles that have been done for 4, 5, 6 years will start having too much buildup at some point in time, and you'll want to clean that off. Another question? Okay. If you guys have any more questions, ask them now, because it pretty much sums up what I wanted to get through in this video.
Tell them where to look or how to contact you if they have more follow-up questions.
Yeah, you can contact us through email. My email is Joey, Joey, at NHOULundercoating.com. You can contact us through our office phone numbers, 603-491-9012. I'm extension 4. But just shoot me an email, and if you want to talk, well, actually, you guys are over in Europe, so it might be a little bit more difficult, but you can email me, and we can definitely set up a time to do a phone call if you want, if you guys want to talk about it more in depth.
We got another question.
Another question?
From Mike. Looks like he said he put the oil on his dump trailer.
Yep.
And it worked. But now he wants to, I think, paint the dump trailer. So he's asking, how do I get off the oil to paint it and then re-oil it?
Okay. So question was, someone had oiled their dump trailer. It worked well, but now they want to paint it. So, you know, you can either give it some time. It will wear down eventually over the course of time. What I would do is I would pressure wash it with hot water. The hot water will help take it off. Use some type of a cleaner or a degreaser, you know, maybe like an alcohol or something like that. But pressure washing, it's going to be important. You want to spray it with a good harsh soap, pressure wash it, get all the oil and grease off, and then you can paint it. Yep.
From Defender Auto, how do compounds work with aluminum? Is there a difference in the application?
That's a good question.
Of compounds to different metals?
Okay, good question. So there are a lot of vehicles that are aluminum nowadays. This was originally designed for steel, but it works just as good on aluminum, okay? Aluminum doesn't have as bad of corrosion as steel does, but you still do get the white corrosion that comes from aluminum when it oxidizes. So when I'm spraying, for an instance, all the Ford trucks have aluminum bodies on it, but steel frames. It's very important that I'm getting between that frame, where the frame and where the body meet, because any vehicles that have aluminum that touches steel and the barrier or the brake, the paint or whatever breaks in between and they touch each other, if it's not undercoated, you can have major oxidation with the aluminum and the steel touching each other. So I would treat it just like the vehicle was all steel. I don't see any issue with spraying over aluminum. I do it all day long. I spray aluminum doors, hoods, tailgates, because like I said, all the Ford trucks here now are all aluminum bodies. But it will stop the oxidation with the aluminum. Short answer. Another question?
From Defender Auto, the last question about the Boss Wax application. Do I need to compare the composition or spraying each thread or whatever?
It says wax application, not Boss Wax. I don't know if...
Same thing.
Okay.
So when spraying the Boss Wax, you really don't have to do anything to it. If you've been using it constantly, I would say that you wouldn't have to mix it. If you haven't used it in a while, maybe the night before, I would mix it a little bit. If it's cold in your shop or if it's winter time, I would consider, just like with the oil, putting a heating strip on the drum. You don't need a lot of heat. We're just talking keeping it warm. Because just like the oil, if the wax gets really cold, it will spray out horribly. You'll get the lines in the gun and everything. And if you're using a cup gun and it's cold, it might not even come out at all. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, you treat it just like the oil. Any other questions? On the wax? No? Okay. If you guys have questions, ask them now. But you can post them after, and I'll answer them in the next video, like I said earlier. So, pretty much it. It's a good rundown. Okay guys, so we're all set now. We're gonna cut, and you can still put in any questions that you have. We are gonna record another video of us spraying this very same vehicle, which this will be, I believe, like a second or a third coat on this vehicle. You could probably saw earlier in the video, but it does have a good residue of buildup on it. So we're just gonna continue on top of that buildup, making it stronger. We have a little bit of the dry buildup we're going to blow out in the wheel wells, and this doesn't have any liners in the rear wheel wells, just to let you know on this one. And that's it. Okay? All right, thank you guys.